A man earning $50,000 per year becomes financially free before the age of 50. Another man earning $500,000 per year works well into his 70s. Why? The answer has almost nothing to do with income, and it reveals one of the biggest lies we've been taught about money. Most people believe wealth comes from earning more. But according to J.L. Collins, wealth comes from something entirely different. In fact, the strategy that has created millions of financially independent people is so simple that many refuse to believe it works. No stock picking, no market predictions, no complicated financial plans. Just a handful of timeless principles that anyone can follow. In this summary of the simple path to wealth, you'll discover why most people stay trapped financially, why debt is more dangerous than it appears, why market crashes can become your greatest opportunity, and how a simple investment strategy could eventually buy you something far more valuable than money. Freedom. Let's begin. Before we dive in, if you're someone who enjoys learning the most powerful ideas from world-class books without spending hours reading them, consider subscribing. Every week, we break down life-changing books into practical lessons you can apply immediately. Now let's get started. The real goal. Nobody talks about. Most people spend their entire lives chasing money, but very few stop to ask an important question. What exactly are we chasing it for? A bigger house? A luxury car? A dream vacation? A larger bank account? According to Collins, all of these answers miss the point. The real purpose of money is freedom. Freedom to leave a job you hate. Freedom to spend more time with your family. Freedom to pursue meaningful work. Freedom to live life on your own terms. This is why Collins introduces one of the most powerful concepts in the book. He calls it FU money. Not wealth, not luxury, not status, freedom. FU. Money is having enough financial security that you no longer have to make decisions from a place of fear. Imagine your employer asks you to do something unethical. Imagine your job is draining your energy every day. Imagine you want 6 months off to travel the world. Could you do it? Most people can't. Not because they lack courage, but because they lack options. And options require money. The truth is that financial independence has never really been about retirement. It's about having choices. And the first thing standing between most people and those choices is something society has normalized. Debt. The wealth trap. Let's play a quick game. Imagine two people. The first earns $50,000 per year. The second earns $250,000 per year. Who becomes wealthy? Most people instantly choose the second person. Now let's change the story. The first person saves and invests 30% of their income. The second spends everything they earn. Who wins now? The answer is obvious. Yet millions of people fall into this trap every year. Collins argues that debt is one of the greatest destroyers of financial freedom. Because debt doesn't just cost money, it steals future choices. Every monthly payment is a claim on your future income. Every dollar spent on interest is a dollar that can never be invested. And debt creates a dangerous illusion. It allows us to enjoy things today while quietly sacrificing tomorrow. A bigger car, a larger house, a new gadget, another credit card. Everything feels manageable. Until one day it isn't. And suddenly your paycheck doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to your lenders. Collins doesn't view debt as a normal part of life. He views it as a form of financial slavery. Harsh? Maybe. But consider this. If you lost your income tomorrow, how many months could you survive? That answer tells you more about your financial freedom than your salary ever will. The monk and the minister. Collins shares a simple story that captures the entire philosophy of wealth. Two childhood friends grow up and take very different paths. One becomes a powerful minister serving a king. The other becomes a humble monk. Years later, they meet again. The wealthy minister looks at the monk's simple lifestyle and says, "No, if you learned to serve the king, you wouldn't have to live on rice and beans." The monk smiles and replies, "If you learned to live on rice and beans, you wouldn't have to serve the king." Pause and think about that. Most people spend their lives increasing income. Very few spend time reducing dependence, and that's why many high earners remain trapped. The less you need, the more freedom you have. the mistake most investors make. Now here's where things get interesting. Most people understand they should invest, but then they make a critical mistake. They believe they can outsmart the market. They search for the next Tesla, the next Nvidia, the next Bitcoin, the next big thing. Meanwhile, financial media feeds them a constant stream of predictions. Buy this, sell that, the crash is coming, the rally is starting. The experts know, except most experts don't. According to Collins, even professional fund managers failed to consistently beat the market over long periods. Think about that. People with elite educations, research teams, powerful computers, access to information, and most still lose to a simple index fund. If the professionals struggle, why would ordinary investors do better? That realization completely changed Collins' life. Instead of trying to beat the market, own the market. The simplest investment strategy ever created. Imagine owning a tiny piece of thousands of businesses, the biggest companies, the fastest growing companies, future winners you haven't even heard of yet, not because you predicted them, not because you discovered them, simply because you own the entire market. That's the power of index funds. Rather than betting on individual companies, you bet on human progress itself. Businesses will fail. Industries will disappear. Technology will evolve. But as long as humanity continues solving problems and creating value, the market continues moving forward. This is why Collins became one of the strongest advocates of low-cost, broad market index investing. Not because it's exciting, because it works. And that brings us to a question that most investors never ask. What actually matters more than choosing investments? The answer may surprise you. Pattern interrupt. Before we continue, let me ask you something. If someone deposited $1 million into your bank account tomorrow, would you still have it 10 years from now? Think carefully. Many lottery winners don't. Many professional athletes don't. Many celebrities don't. Consider Mike Tyson. He earned roughly $300 million during his career, yet he eventually declared bankruptcy. Not because he lacked income, because he never mastered the principles of wealth preservation. Money itself is not the answer. Understanding money is. And that brings us to the most important lesson in the entire book. The big ugly event. Sooner or later, the market crashes. It always has. It always will. And when it happens, everything feels different. The news becomes terrifying. Experts predict catastrophe. Friends panic. Social media explodes. And your portfolio begins falling. Fast. This is what Collins calls the big ugly event. The moment when every emotion tells you to abandon the plan. The moment when fear becomes louder than logic. But history tells a different story. Every major market crash eventually recovered. Every single one. The Great Depression, Black Monday, the dot-com crash, the financial crisis, the pandemic crash. Each time people believed things would never recover. Each time they were wrong. The greatest investors aren't those who avoid crashes. They're the ones who survive them. And often, the people who become wealthy are quietly buying while everyone else is running away. Because market crashes don't destroy opportunity. They create it. The millionaire secret. Now, we arrive at the single most important idea in the book. And it's surprisingly simple. Most people believe wealth comes from earning more. Collins argues that wealth comes from needing less. The gap between what you earn and what you spend determines your future, not your income. Not your job title, not your education. That gap. Every dollar you save performs two jobs. First, it gets invested and starts growing. Second, it reduces how much money you need in the future. That's why a person earning a modest income can become financially independent, and why some high earners remain trapped forever. Because financial freedom isn't about impressing others. It's about reducing dependence. The freedom formula. If you remember only one thing from this entire summary, remember this. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference. Avoid debt. That's it. 3 rules. No secrets, no hacks, no shortcuts. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference. Avoid debt. Simple, but not easy. And that's precisely why it works. Most people spend their lives searching for complicated solutions. Meanwhile, the answer has been sitting in front of them the entire time. Conclusion. One day, you'll wake up and realize most of your life is already behind you. On that day, you won't wish you had bought a larger television. You won't wish you had financed a more expensive car. You won't wish you had accumulated more stuff. You'll wish you had more time, more freedom, more adventures, more meaningful work, more moments with the people you love. And that's why The Simple Path to Wealth matters. Because despite its title, this book is not really about money. It's about freedom. It's about reclaiming ownership of your time. It's about building a life where your choices are guided by purpose rather than necessity. A life where work becomes optional. A life where money becomes your servant instead of your master. And according to J.L. Collins, that life is available to far more people than most realize. The path isn't complicated. The path is simple. The challenge is having the patience and discipline to walk it. And if you do, the reward isn't just wealth, the reward is your life.